1989. And I wanted to start by saying that because in a time when a lot of programs and services have inconsistent funding, we've been around and supporting young people for 35 years, and we'll be here for another 35. We offer resources on every topic from bullying to sleeping to suicide. And we offer mental health support in a variety of ways, including online forums, one-on-one counseling, and service referral. So the Kids Helpful and Indigenous Advisory Council leads all of our Indigenous initiatives, and they inform everything we do at KHP. We take a distinctions-based approach whenever possible, and this is evident in the roles on our team. So today we've got some members of our team here. Justin and Delano and Raven are here. Justin, for example, is the Inuit Engagement Coordinator, where Delano's the First Nations Engagement Coordinator, and they really focus on increasing access and awareness to services for those groups. In 2023, we released Finding Hope, Kids Helpfuls Action Plan for Supporting Indigenous Youth. And it's the second iteration. So it was first released in 2019. Since Finding Hope was first released, our service use among Indigenous youth has just continued to grow every year. We have there are 32 actions that work towards 6 overarching goals, and we could talk all day about Finding Hope. So I'm going to just invite you to visit kidshelpphone.ca/finding hope to see how we might work together there too. Now, we know that our services are having a positive impact on the wellness of Indigenous youth because they tell us so. So there's a survey that young people can complete after they complete a texting conversation with a crisis responder. And in the survey, 83% said that they received the support they were looking for. 81% said they felt less upset after speaking with the KHP crisis responder, and 86% found the conversation helpful. So why are young people, Indigenous youth, reaching out to Kids Help Phone? In terms of service volume, in 2023, we had just over 200,000 conversations through texting alone. Counseling by phone and live chat was around the same number, 200,000. So when we look at what percent of those are Indigenous, the texting survey suggests that just over 10% of texters, youth who reach out to us through texting, are Indigenous. That's over double the Indigenous population across Canada. So back to the question of why KHP? We hear, you know what? Why don't we open up the chat here? And I'm going to open up the chat so I can see. Why do you think Indigenous youth are reaching out to Kids Help Phone? Pause for a minute. Well, we hear things like, it's free, it's non-judgmental, it's youth-focused, it's available through lots of different channels. And then there are more personal reasons. We hear from young people that, I have people that I can speak to, but they're going through a lot on their own, and I don't want to add to what they're going through. I love what I'm seeing in the chat. No bias, safe space, youth-friendly, confidential, seeking world outside that is meeting them in their world. Available to speak in their own language. There are supports that are available in Indigenous languages. So I'm going to share with you some quotes from young people who use our services through texting, and I'm just going to stop talking while you read them, okay? So the first is that KHP services are confidential. I'll just give you a minute. We also hear that KHP services, it's because we're available 24/7, 365. And I wanted to note, so in an emergency situation, we're there right now, right? So there is no, getting counselors into town or, connecting youth in different ways with services. They can contact us right now if they've got access to cellular service or for a phone or the internet. Even during COVID, when everything happened with the COVID shutdown in March of 2020, we weren't down for even one moment. KHB services are helpful. We hear this a lot. So let's talk about our services. KHB is constantly innovating to reach youth where they're at. So I'll go over each of these channels. I'll do a slide for each one, but just high level first. Um, Young people can speak with a professional counselor by phone or through live chat. People of all ages can connect with a trained volunteer crisis responder through text or online messaging. Our Resources Around Me tool allows youth to find in-person and online resources, including apps now. Youth can connect with other young people for support through our peer-to-peer community. And our website is loaded with incredible, incredible content. So let's talk about each of these in a little more detail. So our professional counselors recognize the strengths of young people by helping them to find solutions to their own struggles, and they encourage them to take steps toward resolving their own challenges. So counseling is exclusively for young people. And if you're wondering what we mean by young people, who do we consider young people? It's typically, well, we say youth as they define themselves, and that typically is around 5 to 29 years old. Now, unlike crisis response, which I'll talk about next, counseling is anonymous. So if anonymity is important to the young person, they should reach out by phone or by live chat. Oh, I should mention too that we have, you can request support through a translator through Plains Cree and Severn Ojibwe, and we have an Indigenous queue. So you can contact 1-800-668-6868 and then press 3 to get to the Indigenous queue. And for crisis response, now anyone can text. This is available for all ages. Anyone can text or message a trained volunteer crisis responder at Kids Help Phone about anything they're going through. So there's no problem that's too big or too small. We're here to support. You can even request to connect with an Indigenous crisis responder, again, taking a distinctions-based approach. The crisis responders, I'll say, they go through 36 hours of online training, and then they're supervised in real time by professionals. So they're just the most amazing people, volunteering their time to support young people. And remember, these are the people who are answering the calls with those impact numbers that I shared earlier. So it's a great service, a crisis response service. Peer-to-peer. So sometimes what's most helpful to a young person is to hear from another young person who's going through something similar. So KHP's peer-to-peer community is a place where young people can connect with each other in a moderated environment. So when I say moderated, I mean that every post that goes up is reviewed and approved by a KHP moderator to ensure it's safe before it's published. So the moderators also engage with young people on the platform to suggest resources. It's really great. There's an Indigenous forum. You could check it out at peer-to-peer.kidshelpphone.ca. Now, this is very exciting for us because our Resources Around Me, which we also call RAM, was just rebuilt and it launched last week. And RAM is the largest database of youth-facing mental health resources in Canada. They're vetted They're verified. We include in-person and local resources. There are around 40,000 resources in here. So if you'd like to learn more about RAM, we're hosting webinars about it. We're going to share the links to those webinars later because I have more information about RAM coming up. But it's a fantastic tool, and in an emergency response situation, it's a great way to immediately find resources that are available to you. If a community is evacuated to another community, then you can. It's a good way to determine what resources are available in the community you've been evacuated to, for example. And the last one I'll talk about here is our website. So we call it the gateway because it's the gateway into all of our services. There's an incredible amount of helpful content on kidshelpphone.ca. It has articles, quizzes, tools, all kinds of things to support young people. More and more content is being added in Indigenous languages. So this mindfulness body scan here it's beautiful. Please check it out. It's available in 6 Indigenous languages. It's a beautiful feature. kidshelpphone.ca/Indigenous is where we send young people. So that is the link to our services. It's got articles and quizzes, all of those things. And kidshelpphone.ca/Finding Hope is where we send supporters. So I'm going to tell you some of the things I'm going to share some of the things coming up that you would go to kidshelpphone.ca/Finding Hope for. So these are our core services. These are the things that in an emergency we're connecting young people to. Like I said, we have the feedback we hear from young people is that the services are very, very helpful. The challenge we always face is increasing awareness of our services. So we have a number of programs in place that are designed to really help communities connect young people with Kids Help Phone services. So they're all designed and delivered by Indigenous people for Indigenous people. And we understand that communities are stretched now more than ever, but these programs are all designed to be simple and easy for you to bring Kids Help Phone services to youth in your community. So let's start with sharing resources online. Thinking about this in an emergency situation too. So we've recently updated or created a page on our website where people like communications officers can have a place where they can instantly find KHP digital assets to share. So let's say there's an emergency in a community. There isn't really time for the communications officer or a social services organization to kind of look through our social feed to find an image to share. This page is set up so someone can go directly to this page and then immediately just pick whatever asset they want to share or multiple assets and share them directly from the page in one click. So this first one is about supports for youth leaving care. So if you were to click that Facebook link, it would share that post in Facebook and it would send you directly to a dedicated page we have for youth leaving care. So there are 10 assets on here right now because it just launched. We're going to be adding more and more as we go. So please save this link from the QR code. So and share it with your communications officers or people who would be connecting youth with our services. Another thing we can do, and I saw in the chat someone mentioned the posters. I see it here. Yeah. So you can order free Kids Help Phone outreach material. And in an emergency situation, we can often ship these within 24 hours. So we provide free Indigenous focused outreach material to anyone across Canada that requests them. So what's new this year, though, is that people can check off a box in the online order form to subscribe to annual shipments. So this adds organizations to our distribution list so they don't need to reorder materials every year. They'll automatically get them once a year. And if they run out before then, they can just go back to the order form and just top up. So they can just request more and we'll send whatever they need. So the wallet cards, posters, program and services guides, and some of these special shipments, like for schools, might include some additional custom materials. So you can order outreach material by going to kidshelpphone.ca/new trails. And the reason that it's New Trails is because it's linked to our New Trails program. So this one is a program that I had really wanted to see from the time that I started at KHP. And in my First Nation, we'll see lots of signs for things that are more negative in tone. And I thought, wouldn't it be, Crime Stoppers and things like that? And I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we had just a positive message of help in Indigenous communities? And the Indigenous Advisory Council developed this program called New Trails, where we provide a free billboard, road sign, vinyl wall mural, or arena boards, those dasher boards, to Indigenous communities or organizations that are more urban but are Indigenous focused. So if you go to kidshelpphone.ca/new trails, there's a checkbox in there. You can also email us at any time for information about this program. The billboards are customized by the community. So the order form, you would pick the picture you want, the format, the message, the services you want to promote. All of that is customized to the community, and we install it, we ship it, we design it, we print it, we install it, and everything for you. So you'd love to see these signs in every Indigenous community across Canada. Now, one of the things, let me think of how to start with this. So we know it takes courage to reach out for support, and it can be scary when you don't know what to expect when you call. So we can put up billboards, we can give out wallet cards. These are all great ways to increase awareness, but sometimes it takes a lot of courage for a young person to actually call the number or text the number because they don't know what to expect on the other end. So we've developed two programs to help encourage help-seeking behaviors. One is called Weaving Threads. So with Weaving Threads, we work in partnership with trusted members of Indigenous communities. So young people in the community already know and trust. And then we work with those volunteers to ensure they have a clear understanding of Kids Help Phone services so that they can make accurate referrals to young people. That's not all the volunteers do. They provide us with input on an ongoing basis. They come together once a year and provide us with a lot of input. That's at the Weaving Threads Forum that's happening in this November. Volunteers are as young as 15. Many are adults. And they volunteer for really a minimum of about 4 hours a year, and some will do a lot more. And the things the volunteers are doing is just incredible. It's such an honor to work with them. I could talk all day about this too. What I would say, one of the roles of the volunteers I want to touch on here was that they connect with us in times of crisis. So if a community is in crisis, we don't want to rely on the media to find out. We want to already have a relationship in place with someone in the community, and so that if the community is in crisis, that person can reach out to us and say, we're being evacuated, let's say. how can we support? How can we get some immediate supports in the community? And they're assigned a partner at Kids Help Phone, one of our engagement coordinators, and they'll say, okay, well, we can send outreach material today. We can connect you with the Brighter Days program, things like that. So I'm going to ask you to consider volunteering or sharing information about this program, so that we can ensure we have a volunteer in every community across Canada. Now, the Brighter Days program is similar to the way that we work with trusted members of Indigenous communities to connect youth with our services. Brighter Days works with influencers. So influencers who young people trust help bridge that connection and introduce Kids Help Phone to the young people. So at the heart of the Brighter Days program is a virtual conversation between a group of Indigenous youth and a KHP Indigenous wellness specialist. So before the session, youth watch a video with an influencer like Jordan Tutu or Notorious Cree, who encourages them to reach out for support. So then during the session, with the wellness specialist, young people learn more about our services through mostly a Q&A for the first one. So they'll ask really great questions, about our services, but it helps them understand what's going to happen when they call. What can you call about? What are the different ways? How long can you talk? And then they'll ask some really personal questions too, which are great just to get to know us. There are additional sessions available that focus on skills development and mental health literacy. So these cover topics like managing anxiety, self-care, understanding abuse. So in an emergency situation, bringing this program in very quickly, so we can do a session usually within 24 hours. Youth can normally are in a group participating, like in a classroom or a school group, but in a situation like an evacuation, the youth can all join individually if they have internet access from where they are, and we'll do it as a group but with all the young people in separate locations. The kids get gifts through the program. They get things like in the Notorious Cree session, they get binoculars because it ties in with some of the activities in the session. It's really great. So please reach out to us to talk about how we can bring this program to your community, or visit us at kidshelpphone.ca/brighterdays to learn more. Now, I said I was going to come back to RAM. Resources around me, because as part of the rebuild, we've developed a widget that can be installed on other organizations' web pages. So this is free for charities. It's a simple couple lines of code that you would embed in your website, and then young people can access our resources around me database from your website. So this QR code puts you on a list of people that we'll reach out to with the code. And there's a small, like a really basic, like a form you have to fill out basically, but then we'll send you the code, and it's an amazing way to connect youth with resources in your community. And especially in a crisis situation, if people are removed from their communities and need to find resources where they are. So the database has apps too. It has online resources. It's fantastic. So let's see, last slide. I just wanted to share ways to stay connected with us. So we have a subscriber email list. You can go to kidshelpphone.ca/IIN. That's for Indigenous Initiatives Network. And we send out emails every couple months or so, just updating people on what's new. We have, I already shared the kidshelpphone.ca/Indigenous. That's the youth-facing page that we share with young people, and the /Finding Hope. So that page is where you can see the action plan, but that's where you can register for Brighter Days. You can apply for Weaving Threads. You can order outreach material all from that starting point. And of course, you can email us at any time if you'd like more information or you just like to talk about how we can work together to support youth in your community. When we say distinctions-based approach, when I mentioned that at the beginning, we really mean it. We know every community is different, and we have a team of engagement coordinators standing by to work with you on how do we support youth in your community. So please do reach out. And that's the end of the slides. And I'm really hoping that, just stop sharing, really hoping that we have some questions because we skimmed over this very quickly, and I'd love to hear what you'd like to know more about. Are there any questions? Oh, volunteers.
That was wonderful, Deanna. And I'm just going to check the Q&A box as well to see if anything has come through. Jackie from the chat asks, can you talk about the volunteers and how you choose them and how you support them?
Yeah, okay. So, well, there are two different kinds of volunteers. The ones I spoke more about are Weaving Threads volunteers, and I'll talk about the crisis responder volunteers too. So the Weaving Threads volunteers, our goal is really to have one or two volunteers in every community. Right now, anyone who applies that's eligible is accepted into the program. The eligibility includes, right now, they've got to be 15 and up. We're actually introducing another kind of, we're expanding the age group in the next 6 months to include 10 to 14-year-olds. And the 10 to 14-year-olds are going to require to be buddied with somebody who's older to kind of help them. But we recognize that, 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds are really wanting to be engaged in supporting their peers, and they are fully capable of giving out wallet cards and putting up posters and saying, hey, do you know about this resource? It should be in that database. So, but right now it's 15 and up. A lot of them are adults. So a lot are parents and social workers and teachers and just people in communities, bus drivers, like people who are connected with Indigenous youth. So it's a requirement that you have to be a trusted member of an Indigenous community. You don't have to be Indigenous. So you might be like a teacher in working on in an Inuit community, an Inuit hamlet, and you would be qualified. You don't have to be, as an example. The crisis responders, there is an application form. So there's a vulnerable sector check and that kind of stuff. But it's anyone over 18 can do that, and all kinds of people volunteer. It's a really wide range of people who do that. And like I said, they take 36 hours of training, and we're looking for Indigenous crisis responders too. So because like I said, over 10% of texters are Indigenous, but it's less than 10% of our crisis responders are Indigenous. So we want to increase those numbers. Sorry, how you choose them and how you support them. So to continue with Weaving Threads, the Weaving Threads volunteers are all assigned what we call a KHP connection. So it's the people who are supporting people in Inuit communities or Inuit. They are connected with Justin, who's the Inuit engagement coordinator, and they set up regular check-ins where they just touch base and come up with a plan for how that person can help increase awareness in their community. And for some, it'll be just putting up posters on a message board, and that might be all they do, and that's fantastic. Some people, we had one volunteer who we were in touch with last week, who said she arranged for her employer funded a mental health minute on the local radio station. Her employer also did a barbecue to fundraise, and they fundraised the money for the Weaving Threads program specifically. She arranged for all the kids' school computers at her kids' school to have the kids' help phone screensaver on all the school computers. Like she did more. Those are just three things that she did. It's amazing. So the KHP connection will work with them and arrange for them to have the audio recording for the mental health minute, and we'll get them the image to use for the screen share and stuff like that. Um, the crisis responders have an incredible community of a whole network, and they support each other on this platform. If you speak with one of our crisis responders, they'll tell you it's an amazing community that we have. So, would the signs be available to be printed in languages such as Inuit? Absolutely, yes. Um, is the training for the Weaving Threads program 36? No, it's 90 minutes. So the crisis responder training is 36 hours. The Weaving Threads training, there's an online training people take. It's 90 minutes, and then they have a 45-minute meeting with their KHP connection. Bullying usually starts at a younger age. Is there any potential to develop support for this age group? Now, Monica, it's from Monica, right? What age group are you thinking of? So as you type that in, I'll remind us that the Brighter Days program starts at age 6. So we're working now to increase awareness at really young ages. Yeah, so Brighter Day starts at 6 years old. And it's for that reason. We're also like it's just so there aren't words to describe the fact that 7-year-olds, we're losing 7-year-olds to suicide. And we can't afford to wait till kids are 12 and 14 to start having these conversations. So that's why we're really trying to reach kids at younger ages, develop programs like Brighter Days to get kids as soon as they're old enough to really understand how to reach out for help. These are great questions. We also have so when people order outreach material, they can request support in different languages. So our printed materials that we send out right now are in English and French, but we have digital resources that we will email to people. So we have some PDFs that are translated articles from our website on suicide. There's one on suicide. There's one on anxiety. I think there are 5 different ones right now that are translated into 6 Indigenous languages. So we'll share those digitally when people order outreach material. And then as more come up, we'll probably follow up with you to send more if you are requesting support in those languages. What would you say the model is for your work with Indigenous children, youth, and communities? How would you describe it? Well, distinctions based and community focused. So what is I think unique, and this is not a format for efficiency by any sense of the word, but what we do is instead of having a coordinator for Brighter Days and a different coordinator for Weaving Threads and another one for outreach material, all of our staff are trained to deliver all of the programs. And that's because their focus is on the community. So if Delano, I mentioned, is the First Nations engagement coordinator. So if he's working with, let's say, a health director on a First Nation, and the health director says, well, you know what? We've got a young person who is looking for volunteer experience. I think they'd be perfect for Weaving Threads. Delano doesn't say, I'm going to transfer you to somebody else so they can connect them with the service. He says, great, can you connect me with them? I'll give you the application form. Let's start working with them and see if it's something that they're interested in. And the same health director might say, how do we get a sign? How do we get Brighter Days? And Delano's not going to transfer them except for there is a caveat here because we do use another company to facilitate the installation of the billboards because we wouldn't ask Delano to facilitate the installation of billboards. That's a little too much. But he would connect them with the company, and he would get the outreach material to them, brighter days, all of that. So our focus is on the community's unique needs and not on our own programs and services. I hope I explained that well. We have a whole diagram that we use for our onboarding and stuff like that, but it's not efficient. I will tell you, it's not efficient. What is efficient would be to have a different person for each program. But so our team has to, it's a lot of onboarding. They'll attest to learn all these different programs. Thank you, Sophie. I hope there are more questions. I really enjoy answering these questions. I love talking about the work that we do. You know, it's just such a rewarding it's a rewarding role. I think I can speak for our whole team when we say that. It's you know, there's nothing better than hearing from young people that that they received the support that they were looking for. But the challenge we have, so in 20 right before COVID, actually, we had partnered with 9 communities right before COVID. And we asked communities, we emailed through our Indigenous Initiatives Network and said, would any communities like to partner with us to do engagement sessions with youth in your community in school? So we're kind of getting all the kids in the class and not just the 8 kids who put up their hands for focus groups. And said, you know, we really want to understand how our services can better meet their needs. And we started with 8-year-olds up through grade 12. And we had 9 communities reach out and say, yeah, we want to partner. And we were looking for an hour and a half of their time. One community had us there for 3 days. It was just unbelievable. And we developed a report with the communities with the findings that's available on our website. But one of the big takeaways was the majority of Indigenous youth aren't aware of Kids Help Phone services. And that's where we really need support from communities to help us increase awareness and access. What are the challenges that you see the volunteers experiencing in the communities? Oh, thank you. I've got promises of help. The challenges that the volunteers are experiencing. Well, everyone is just really stretched, you know. It's you know, and we're listening always to what volunteers are saying, and we're always developing. The programs are living organisms, they're always changing. You know, one thing we heard from volunteers was, okay, so I'm on a First Nation, I want to get a billboard, have to go through chief and council. I'm not sure how to do that. Well, we created a band council resolution template now that people can use to take to chief and council. So we work through these challenges one at a time as people come forward with them. And we just want to have good, strong communication with the volunteers so we understand the challenges. Just thinking about something that we're often asked to. It's you know, another challenge that we have is with new trips. If people want to put billboards in, they've got to go in before the ground freezes. So much of Canada is frozen from, you know, all of the north, right, is frozen from October on. So sometimes it's the timing of things and stuff that we're working through too. So, and we're getting better at that. We're getting really good at kind of understanding the cycles and what programs to promote at what times, stuff. Any other questions? Any comments? I wonder if people, well, thank you. Yeah, we can, Monica, I know this recording is going to be shared on YouTube, but we can share the PDF version if you you can email us directly if you want it, indigenous@kidshelpphone.ca. We'll be happy to share it. And we can share other resources too if there's anything else that you'd like. I'm reading that. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's an email address that we can reach you at, Deanna, if there are any follow-up questions.
Yeah, in the chat, I'm just gonna put, if I can get to the chat, my mouse is, oh, here it is. Indigenous at, so yeah, you can reach out to us and then we would connect you with the person on the team who's the best person to support you.
I'm feeling that people are sitting with the content and all the information that you shared. And yes, for any Red Cross inquiries and for the series, you can also reach out to us at rrr@redcross.ca. Thanks, Vicki.
You know, one thing we're doing now is we have a new member who's just joined our team, Angela, who's facilitating our participation in events. So one of the things Weaving Threads volunteers do too is soon we're introducing this in a couple months is they'll be hosting information booths in their communities. So we know a lot of communities will have anti-bullying day or you know, just a wellness week, those kinds of things. And we wish we could travel to every community to you know, to attend all of these events, but it's not realistic. But what we can do is volunteers from the communities can host kids help phone information booths. So we're sending kind of simple booths for them to set up a table and give out outreach material. So Angela is helping facilitate that, and also our participation in other events. So if where we attend or we speak, or we're always trying to find new ways to build awareness of our services. Really appreciate all the comments. I was reading through these comments. Oh, sorry, there's new messages in it.
Maybe I can take the opportunity to wrap us up. And I know the presentation was shorter than an hour, but so appreciate your time and everyone for contributing to the conversation as well. And I look forward to having the content up on YouTube and having more people learn about all the resources shared today. And yeah, thank you so much, Deanna, for joining us and for sharing your resources and knowledge with us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you everybody for listening and for the comments. And I hope that we'll be in touch very soon. Take care.
Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.